evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this regular called meeting of the Temple City Council for Thursday, June 17th. Please rise. Pastor Pat Dietrich of First Lutheran Church will lead us in our invocation, and then Sergeant First Class Donald Hardy, U.S. Army Recruiting Office, will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Dietrich, welcome.
Thank you. Let us pray. Oh, Lord God, we thank you for the abundance of your many gifts, for life and health, for daily bread, and for favorable weather. We give you thanks. Lord, I pray for this community, for the abundance that we have and that we share with those who are in need. I pray for this city council as they make decisions. And I pray for the military, especially for the young men and women of Fort Hood as they are serving or will soon be deploying to Afghanistan. We pray for their safety and for the work that they do. And we pray, Lord, that your will might be done in this war, that it might end quickly and peace might reign. Lord, be with us as we are meeting, and be with us as we return to our homes. We ask this in all that you see that we need. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sergeant Hardy, why don't you just stay up here if you would for a minute, sir. Thank you, Pastor Dietrich. This past week, we all know June the 14th was Flag Day, but it's another very special day for our country, and it's the birthday of the United States Army. And we've got Sergeant First Class Donald Hardy here with us with the recruiting station here in Temple. And Sergeant Hardy, if you'll come forward, and I'd like to present a proclamation commemorating this great United States Army. Welcome. Thank you. From the Office of the Mayor of the City of Temple. Whereas the United States Army was established by the First Continental Congress on the 14th of June of 1775. Whereas the United States Army exists as the strength of our nation, to defend the freedom of our citizens and our nation's security interests. Whereas many present and former citizens of Temple have served our nation and sacrificed in defense of our freedoms as soldiers in the United States Army. And whereas it is proper to recognize the U.S. Army annually on its birthday, and to thank those who have served and those who are presently serving. And now therefore I, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, with great pride do hereby recognize the 235th birthday of the United States Army on June the 14th of 2010. And I encourage all citizens to join with me in this salute as we express our gratitude to those who have served and to those who are presently serving to protect our nation and freedoms. In testimony whereof I witness my hand and the seal of the City of Temple, Texas, this the 17th day of June of 2010. Sergeant First Class Hardy, I hope that you will accept this on behalf of the Temple City Council and this community in great appreciation for the work that you do and your colleagues do to help defend and protect and serve this country. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you for taking the time to be here, sir. And next item is another proclamation. It's a presentation for Healthcare Risk Management Week, and we have Lisa Havens, the Associate General Counsel and Director of Risk Management, and Amy Fox, the Director of Patient Relations at Scott & White. Ladies, if you'll come forward. Again, from the Office of the Mayor of the City of Temple. Whereas the American Society for Healthcare Risk Management, ASHRAM, is a personal membership group of the American Hospital Association. Whereas there are nearly 5,300 members of ASHRAM who represent healthcare, insurance, law, and other related professions. Whereas ASHRAM promotes effective and innovative risk management strategies and patient safety through education, recognition, advocacy, publications, networking, and interactions with leading healthcare organizations and government agencies. Whereas ASHRAM's mission is to advance safety and trusted patient-centered healthcare delivery by promoting proactive and innovative healthcare, risk management of organization-wide risk. And whereas, along with ASHRAM, Scott & White Healthcare will observe the week of June 14th through 18th of 2010 as Healthcare Risk Management Week with the theme, Thinking Safety, Earning Trust, in celebration of the ways in which risk managers strive to promote safe and effective patient care practices, the preservation of financial resources, and the maintenance of safe working environments. Now, therefore, I, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, do hereby proclaim June 14th through 18th of 2010 as Healthcare Risk Management Week in the City of Temple, Texas. And I urge all citizens to join with me in honoring the risk management professionals who advocate for all of us and to recognize their contributions and efforts to improve the safety of our healthcare system and show our appreciation for the nation's risk managers, not just during this week, but at every opportunity throughout the year. In testimony whereof I witness my hand and the seal of the City of Temple, Texas, on this, the 17th day of June of 2010. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for the work. Is there anything you'd like to say? Any activities going on or that?
We appreciate your proclamation and taking time to do this for us.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is an opportunity for public comment. Citizens who desire to address the council on any matter may sign up to do so prior to the meeting. Public comments will be received during this portion of the meeting. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. No discussion or final action will be taken by the City Council. We have several people signed up to speak. I think a couple of them want to speak on the 41st and Avenue M issue. And during that item, we're going to open that up for a public hearing again. So if you can wait until that time, and it won't be very long, then we'll let you speak at that time. Okay? All right, great. And I think that's Ms. Mabel Taylor would like to wait until then. Tanya McKeska, wait until then. Is okay? All right, great. Then Ms. Rosa Hernandez, you want to come forward, Rosa? If you'll go to that podium, and that way we'll get you on the mic, Rosa. Thanks. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. On behalf of Central Texas LELAC, I would thank you for having us here this afternoon for this opportunity to speak. Joe Martinez is passing out a sheet that we're going to be working through to bring out a pilot program that puts the pieces together to keep the kids in school. We're hoping to bridge the gap in education by decreasing the dropout rate, by increasing parent involvement, by increasing community involvement, and we're hoping that by doing this pilot program where we bring tutoring to at-risk 9th graders, we also use high school students to provide tutoring to the pre-K to the 5th and through 5th grade students while their parents are going to the ESL classes. So we're hoping to get the parents to promote this by helping their children become more involved by being a good example. We're hoping that high school students and families receive bilingual academic and career counseling. We want to also provide private and group music instructions from Temple College peers, and this is through the Academy Musique program that is currently being partnershiped with through Temple College, the Temple College Foundation, the TISD, LELAC members, and students and parents. This pilot program emphasizes education through music and cultural awareness, creating pride and enhancing self-esteem. TISD students show a 67 economically disadvantaged. 73% of those complete high school. minority numbers are a little higher, and then the Hispanic dropout rate is 37%. So we've identified these target areas, and as Central Texas LULAC, with the partnerships that we have in place with TISD, Temple College, the CAC art program, providing music enrichment. We provide free music lessons, mariachi lessons, and I believe that there's some programs in the school, so we're hoping that those students will eventually graduate to the school. So what we're proposing today is asking to, we had initially requested $14,000 of this grant, but through other grants, we were able to fund a lot of this. So today's plea is for $3,600 to help us bridge the gap with the community peers, social services, academics, cultural arts, and family and home. We are thinking that this is going to help our top scores increase because students will remain more focused, and when you give them a little bit more responsibilities, they start having more positive feelings about themselves. So you kind of open their minds. And then we also think that with the parental involvement, that's going to also increase the awareness for other parents to get involved and to lead by example. So we are asking you to reconsider our plea for this pilot program. There's already some things already in place, so this is not a new program. We have been doing this already for how long? And I have some people that are supporting us here today. So we actually have been doing this for several months. The mariachi classes are ongoing, as well as the partnerships where we have already been given scholarships and also other book grants to help pay for the books, not just for the tuition. So thank you, and we ask that you reconsider this.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Next, Mr. David Rowe. Mr. Rowe, you wanted to speak on the 41st Street? Okay, great. Okay, sir. Consider that then.
And I was the one who left the next day.
Oh, all right, okay. We'll make sure you get that back unless we get a good offer on that.
Glad you're at it.
Thank you.
That's about it.
Next item is a public hearing. This is a presentation of the proposed 2010 to 2015 Community Development Block Grant 5-year consolidated plan and the proposed 2010-2011 CDBG Annual Action Plan, including the funding recommendations for public service agencies from the Community Services Advisory Board. Ms. Bernard.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. As indicated in the item description, for this year, it was time to complete another 5-year consolidated plan. Over the next 5 years, the city will receive approximately $2.5 million in community development block grant monies. And also with our FY 2011 plan, we received a grant for $560,000. And tonight, Mark Taylor with Traylor & Associates has a presentation to go over the process and the recommendations for both the 5-year plan and the annual action plan. And at this time, I'd ask Mark to present his presentation, and also ask that Mark, on one item in your Community Service Advisory Board recommendations, could you expand on the TISD allocation of funds? Awesome. Mark.
Mr. Taylor, welcome. Good to have you back with us.
Thank you. My name is Mark Taylor. I'm with Gary Traylor & Associates out of Tyler. For anyone that's not familiar with us, we've worked with the city for several years now, assisting with the administration of the Community Development Block Grant programs. Tonight we come before you with the consolidated plan. I know your time is very important. I'd like to quickly go through this presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions as we go through. First of all, what is the consolidated plan? It pertains to the use of HUD programs and HUD grant funds to address community needs. It's intended to provide a means for entitlement communities to meet the application requirements for HUD programs. An entitlement community is one that HUD feels, based upon the population of the city, is entitled to deal directly with HUD and to receive an annual allocation from HUD. It's also a collaborative process which envisions and encourages public involvement. The purpose of CDBG is to provide decent housing, suitable living environment, and expanding the economic opportunities. Any project that's funded with CDBG funds has to meet one of three national objectives. The three national objectives are principally benefiting low to moderate income persons, aiding the prevention or elimination of slums and blights, or meet needs having particular urgency. Most of the funds that we administer are focused on benefiting low and moderate income individuals. Type of things that CDBG funds can be used for include housing activities, public infrastructure, public facilities, public services, and economic development projects. I'm not going to go through all of this, but this is what's contained within the consolidated plan itself that we compiled for the city. I will be hitting briefly on some of these areas as we go through the presentation. One of the strong points of the consolidated plan, one of the requirements of HUD is that there must be public involvement. There must be at least one public meeting where the public can provide input into the plan. We've conducted 5 meetings between April and May of this year. In addition, we completed a survey form. We handed these surveys out at the public meetings. They were available on the city's website for completion on the website or download as well. We did place public notices in the local newspaper. We did consult with the local agencies and organizations involved in the city. This just briefly gives you one slide concerning the housing needs assessment that was completed. As expected, low to moderate income residents within the city of Temple are primarily renters. The percentage of homeowners with 80% area median income or less that own their home is very small compared to the overall population of Temple. The only exception to that is elderly people. The majority of those are homeowners. Due to the fact that they're retired and most of them on a fixed income, they now do fall down below the 80% area median income, a lot of those individuals. But the majority of elderly homeowners within the city of Temple do own their home. This is some information pertaining to the housing market analysis. This information was obtained through the Texas Real Estate Center at Texas A&M. As you know, or as you would imagine, housing costs and the increase in housing costs affects the low to moderate income households the most. The chart on there, I hope you can make out the information that's on that. This is based on the Temple Belton MLS. In 2009, the average house sale was $140,000. The number of homes in the last 20 years sold have gone up dramatically, but the price of those homes have also doubled within the past 20 years. Once again, most of the money that comes through the CDBG program is focused on low to moderate income individuals. CDBG, or HUD rather, does require that 70% of the funds expended through this program do go to benefit low to moderate income persons. Currently within the city of Temple, based on the 2000 census, Temple has 22 block groups that the majority of the individuals that live in those block groups are low-mod income persons. This is just a little bit of the information from the survey form that we completed. What we're looking at here on this chart, the surveys that were completed, there were several questions on there. Each question had an option for the home or for the individual to check either they felt that there was not a need for that particular service, there was a low need, a medium need, or a high need. Public services, public facilities, public improvements, and housing. All of these, as far as the medium or high priority of all of the surveys that were turned in, 70 to 80% of those surveys ranked those as a high priority. The recommendation based on the information that was obtained, once again, this information was obtained through a wide area of individuals, organizations, as well as contact and working with the city, the various departments in the city. Although public services, facilities, and improvements ranked high on the survey, Citizens also expressed a need for housing assistance within the City of Temple. It is recommended that the city attempt to carry out public services, facilities, and improvement, as well as providing some housing assistance. Proposed allocation of funding for the consolidated plan. As far as public facilities and improvements with CDBG funds, there again, that being the primary use of these funds. Also, as far as public services, it's recommended that the allocation be the same as it has been in previous years. When I say it be the same, HUD says the maximum amount of assistance that can go into public services is 15% of the allocation. Historically, the City of Temple has allocated as much money as they can to public service agencies. As far as housing activities, residential accessibility is one area that there was expressed a great need in within the City of Temple, as well as continuing to support the Temple Housing Authority down payment assistance program that the city has supported for years. All right, now I'll give you a little bit of information about the action plan. And if I could back up just a little bit, basically what the consolidated plan is, it's a 5-year roadmap where we tell HUD, this is where we're at right now at point B. Based on all the information that we've gathered, this is where we want to be 5 years from now. And this is the roadmap of where we want to go this first year toward obtaining our goal 5 years from now. As far as the allocation to Texas as a whole, Texas receives just a little under $200 million from CDBG funds. Of that, City of Temple gets just a little over $559,000. The smallest recipient of these entitlement funds is $234,000. Largest recipient is $32.7 million, which is the City of Houston. The allocation for the City of Temple for this coming year is $559,603. In addition to that, there's program income that is projected to be added to that of $16,090. What program income is CDBG funds that were invested in various programs in prior year that are going to return an income to the city this coming year. HUD requires that that money be turned around and put back into the CDBG program. This particular group of funds will be coming from some housing assistance that loans were made on several years ago that will be paid out this year. As far as the proposed allocation of the funds to public service agencies is proposed at $78,344 go to that. Infrastructure improvements, $172,532. Residential accessibility, $20,000. Public facilities and improvements, $200,000. General administration, $111,920, for a total of $582,798. Public service agencies, as it breaks out, once again, the total is $78,344. A portion of that money is, once again, this is through the local organization that takes these applications, reviews these applications, makes recommendations to the council based upon these applications. If I'm not mistaken, a little over $200,000 worth of applications were submitted this year for the program. So there is a great need for it. Community Services Advisory Board does a great job. They take their responsibility very seriously. They put a lot of time into looking at these applications, going over these applications. There is a representative here this evening from the Community Services Advisory Board.
Dr. Beeman, Dr. Robert Beeman.
If you don't mind, could he come up and elaborate on the ISD? He might be able to give you more information on that than what I could.
They want just some more detail about the Temple ISD program.
Okay. Dr. Beeman, welcome. Glad to have you with us, Pastor.
What information would you like to have?
Just, you might expand quickly on our Temple ISD, the request or the recommendation to fund the $18,844. What does that program represent?
It's a program that I recall that represent the, I'm trying to recall because it's been slept since then. Majority of the program was to work on the students that was left behind, or the students that is working on trying to change a lifestyle about that. So I just know a little bit about it, but I don't recall since then.
If I can help, it's to help them start a diploma program. They have a program in effect now, but they have to be, the enrollees have to be under 18. They want to start a program based on community interest that's been expressed for people that are over 18 that were not able to obtain their high school diploma. So this, Dr. Battershall described the program as the A-plus diploma program. It's a self-taught program based on a computer software program, so they work at their own speed, but they also have instructors on site, and they can have up to 10 students in the classroom at a time. So depending on what level those students are, some people drop out early and need a lot of credit course activity in order to obtain their diploma. Others may only need one credit course. So they work at their own speed until they reach that diploma level. And they also have instructor one-on-one instruction as they need it, as they work through the software program for the diploma program. Thank you.
One quick question. Did I understand that my understanding was it was targeting at-risk students also, again, with an end
low
goal?
income, at-risk, low income. Basically, they're students that some still are attending school or are trying to attend school but have not received their high school diploma.
And the end target or goal was the high school diploma for those
Yes, sir.
students. And many of them, that program I'm a little familiar with, many of them are students that have dropped out of school. They're actually adults. They could be 18, 24, early 20s, and
Yes, my
students that
understanding.
just need to go back and receive a high school diploma, not a GED.
Yes, sir, that's my understanding. It's targeted for people, most of them that have dropped out, but they found that the GED is not accomplishing what some have obtained their GED, but it's not helping them in the workforce or get further education. And they've expressed the desire and the need for some help to obtain their high school diploma. And it is low-income people. It would have to be for the block grant to be qualified, and the program is qualified under the nonprofit organization exemption because of their association with Temple ISD, and so it's a full high school diploma program.
It's an after-school evening program.
Yes,
It's being
that's-
held at Wheatley School.
Yeah, they said they operate it 5 nights a week, and the student would work at his own pace. So some students may be there every night, and other students as they're able, and that would depend on how fast they can finish the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pastor Beeman, I know you get involved in a lot of different projects in that, so thanks for coming up, and thanks for your work on Community Services Advisory Board. So, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
also, if I'm not mistaken, isn't a requirement that they have to be at least 18 years of age to
Yes.
participate? So it's 18 on up through adults.
Yeah. I didn't think it was at-risk students per se. They were always
Yeah.
young adults that have dropped out of
Yes.
school and recognized the mistake and wanted to get back in. And this very innovative program, a model program that's being watched across the state of Texas as to its success level. So we're proud to have that.
The amount that they were needing was $45,000, but that's what the advisory board faced. They really liked the benefits of the program, but they weren't able to fully fund it. But Dr. Battershall assured them that whatever they could give would help the program get started, and that it would get started, even if they were not able to receive full funding.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Taylor, you want to continue?
Thank you. Any other questions on any of the other public service agencies, real quickly before we move beyond that?
No, thank you.
Okay. Infrastructure improvements, the last 5-year funding cycle, there was a multi-year project. Did not start out a multi-year project, turned into that. It was a project that was very well received here within the city, and that was the sidewalks and street lighting along MLK. Following along those same lines, it is proposed that another sidewalk project be started on First Street, and that it be intended to be a multi-year project. in order to stretch these funds as far as we can and get as much benefits out of these funds as possible. And then we have the residential accessibility program that they're proposing to allocate $20,000 for. What this would be focused for is handicap accessibility ramps for homeowners within the city of Temple that have disabilities and are not able to easily get in and out of their home. It would provide funds for the construction of ramps and the widening of doorways if needed to get in and out of their homes. Public facilities improvements would include things such as acquisition, public improvements, and demolition, and then funds for the general administration of the program. As far as a basic timeline of what's left on the consolidated plan, as well as the one-year action plan, once again, of course, the proposal being presented to council tonight, this will begin the public review period. We must allow at least a 30-day comment period for any citizens to provide any comments they would like on this plan prior to coming back to council. August, we're proposing to present the final action plan to council. The plan must be submitted to HUD by August the 15th. The implementation of the consolidated plan and the first year of the 5-year action plan would be October the 1st of this year. Then with council's approval, we would like to place this on the city's website as well as place it in the usual locations within town where we always place these consolidated plans and action plans for review by citizens. I'd be more than happy to field any questions y'all might have at this time.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Questions from the council? Comments from staff regarding this plan? So if I understand this correct, this is a new 5-year plan, and we're going to continue infrastructure as our focus of the plan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That will be the primary focus of the funds is infrastructure. And there again, at this point in time, once again, looking forward over the next 5 years, that is proposed to be a 5-year plan as far as the infrastructure and the sidewalks.
And as I remember, the way that goes, I mean, that's something that once we set this in place, it's not easy to change that focus over this next 5-year plan. So we're pretty well locking in what it is that we want to do with this 5 years of funding. It's almost $2.5 million as a primary focus.
As far as the type activities, yes, sir. This is locking you into your 5-year plan and your 5-year goal of, and once again, a lot of paperwork. I didn't want to bore y'all with going through all 250 pages this evening, but basically this is the map that says this is the direction the city is going in the next 5 years. This is what we're going to be focusing on. Now, every year they do require a 1-year action plan to be completed that says this is the portion of this journey that we're going to complete this coming year. But it is always focused upon the consolidated plan and the goals that were set out in the consolidated plan.
Terrific. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else? Again, this is not an action item. This is strictly for getting it into the record and beginning the 30-day comment period.
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Before we move on, Chief Wallace, do we have a rookie chief in the house?
Yes, we do.
Would you come forward and introduce our new chief?
Yes, I sure will.
Thanks. I think I can get away with that in public comment. Yes, I did. No, I will. Just a second. Thank you. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity to introduce our new deputy chief. I've asked him to come forward. Our newest deputy chief is Deputy Chief David Bell, and he is now, his call letters will be 805. He's an administrative deputy chief, and we're certainly glad to have him on board. He brings a lot to our administrative staff, our chief officer staff, and all, and we congratulate him on his success and being the top scorer on the promotion exam.
Good. Thank you, Chief. Chief Morrow. Congratulations. Yeah, thank you. I wanted to be sure to do that, and I got ahead of myself, and I missed the public hearing on the last item. So the item that was just presented on the Community Development Block Grant, 5-year consolidated plan, and the CDBG annual action plan for 2010-2011 requires a public hearing, and we're posted for public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open at this time. Anyone wishing to speak to the council and about that plan, if you'll please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comment. Seeing no one wishes to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I apologize. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items listed under this section of consent are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by the council, any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of a council member and it will be considered separately. This is item 5A through H tonight. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda for individual presentation or for voting purposes? Item 5D, okay, let's pull that. Any other items, council? If not, I entertain a motion for approval of item 5A through H, less item D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda, item 5A through H, with the exception of D. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember James.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams. Aye. Councilmember Schneider.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Item 5D is to consider adopting a resolution authorizing change order number 3 to the new Central Fire Station construction contract with EMJ Corporation of Irving in the amount of $31,482. I think that's just being pulled for voting purposes, Chief. I don't believe that needs a presentation.
Motion to approve item 5D.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of item 5D. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember James.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams. Aye. Councilmember Schneider.
Abstain.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Next item is item 6, first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance to abandon 2 alleys, with one alley being approximately 21 feet in width by 343 feet in length, located between Lot 6 through 8, Block 8, Moore Cole Addition, and Block 1 Lang Addition, and with the other alley being approximately 48 feet in width and 60 feet in length, located between Block 255, Original City of Temple Addition, and Lot 5, Block 8, Moore Cole Addition, near the northwest corner of West Adams Avenue and North 23rd Street. Mr. Mabry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This abandonment request does require two readings, and this is the first one. The next one is scheduled for July 1st for final action. I have on the screen the alleys that are being proposed to be abandoned. They're at near Adams and North 23rd. Two of these structures that are on the area are no longer on the ground anymore, the old Eckerd Drugs building and another older retail shopping center at the corner of Adams and North 23rd. These existing buildings that are on the screen will eventually be demolished by HEB as well, pending approval of this abandonment and some other approvals that will come down the line. This is the attachment to the ordinance that would abandon the 2 alleys. I've outlined the outline of the alley in red on the screen, and it does total .234 acres. HEB wants to have this alley abandoned as part of a planned gas station and car wash that's proposed for the property. There have been no objections from utility providers. There will be a utility easement in place over the alley if it is abandoned and sold to HEB to accommodate utilities that are in the right-of-way of the alley. There are no objections from adjacent property owners. There is one remaining owner who was adjacent to the alleys who is under contract to sell his property to HEB, and it's projected that that property will have been sold by the next reading. And so there were no objections from property owners. We had a broker give his opinion of value of the property, and it was $7,825. The applicant does agree with this opinion and doesn't have a problem with that amount. Coming up, HEB has applied, and I'll be presenting a street use license for the gas station and car wash that will end up needing to encroach into the easement that remains if this is approved by you. And that will be at the next city council meeting. This is just another view. The first view is the alley the long part of the alley looking north and south. And then this is the side alley looking east and west. And most people probably wouldn't even know that those were alleys there, but they are technically alleys. Remind you that this requires a public hearing. The staff recommendation is to abandon the alley as described in the item description and retain an easement in place for the abandoned alley for utilities. At this point, I can answer any questions that the council might have on this case.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mabry. Council, anything you have? All right, I'll try to remember this requires a public hearing. And so I'll declare the public hearing open at this time. Anyone who wishes to speak before the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure on the first reading of item 6.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion is second for approval of the ordinance banning the alleys as previously read. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lehner? Aye. Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Item 7 is a second reading to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a zoning change from commercial district and general retail district to planned development commercial district on lots 1 through 4, Block 33, Temple Heights addition located at 2015 West Avenue M, 1305 and 1307 South 41st Street. Mr. Mabry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been presented once on May 20th, and there were some issues to be addressed, and so we are presenting it to you again for second reading on the regular agenda rather than the consent agenda, and I believe we will have a public hearing as well on this second reading. I'll give you an abbreviated presentation. The property owner is wanting to move his truck rental operation from the South 1st Street, where it's currently located, to this property. The proposed use is allowed on 3 of the 4 lots on the subject property. It's the 4th lot that is the question. The purpose of this planned development is to protect the surrounding residential uses, to have better control of the parking of the rental vehicles, and to minimize the impact on the Avenue M corridor. These are just a view. There's currently about 9 trucks parked on the property right now, at last count today when I drove by. And this is just a view of what is now, there haven't been any cars parked on it lately, of that alley to farthest to the south, lot number 4. Just an aerial of the property at South 41st and West Avenue M. Some of the surrounding land uses in the area, some houses, some duplex, a duplex, and some a little bit more intense uses like a plumbing contractor and a vehicle repair facility. The proposed use, again, is allowed on the first 3 lots. This planned development would allow parking to encroach onto the 4th lot, which has a base zoning district of general retail, in exchange for more control of the parking and for additional screening along some residentially exposed portions of the property. This is the development plan for planned development. It shows the parking area for the trucks, which is about 80 feet by 110 feet. Shows the setbacks for the parking area, approximately 70 feet from West Avenue M, 15 feet from the side street, South 41st, and 25 feet from the rear and the abutting residential use to the south. The yellow line represents proposed from staff fence along the alley, along the south property line, and along South 41st Street. From the previous presentation I gave to you, the yellow line went to the property line between Lot 1 and Lot 2, which effectively cut off access from 41st Street to this to the subject property. We have since recommended bringing the fence back to the dividing line between Lot 2 and Lot 3 in order to allow more access, or allow access to the property from South 41st Street. And there was a bit of uncertainty or unclarity from the last meeting about what would happen with Lot 4 if this were approved, and the part of the plan development conditions are the paving of Lot 4, since it would be used for parking. There were 27 notices mailed for this plan development, and 4 people sent in approvals and 3 sent in disapprovals. There were several conditions of this plan development. I'll go over the ones that kind of seem to be the most important, or that have changed since the last time. At its May 3rd meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 3-0 to approve this plan development. 3-2, yes.
Yeah, you said 3-0.
I'm sorry, 3-2, to approve the plan development. The first 3 conditions are standard conditions for plan development, just trying to keep out any conflicts between the drawing and the text of the plan development. Condition number 4 shows the allowed uses on the property, which are the rental service, minor vehicle servicing, and neighborhood service and Office 1 non-residential uses. Parking is to take place on the shaded area of the development plan. Number 6 has to do with the fence that I've shown graphically on the screen. Number 7 is saying that the designated parking area is to be striped to accommodate the vehicles that are parked there. Number 8, any new buildings would, of course, have to have a building permit that would apply anywhere. The standards for minor vehicle servicing also apply. Portable buildings would need a permit if they were to be put up. The following activities or conditions are prohibited: outdoor junk and debris, storage of commodities in a street or alley, dilapidated signs, stagnant water and tires, indoor display of highly combustible materials within 5 feet of doorways, and signs in the right-of-way. Those are already prohibited in a lot of areas of our city code, but we were wanting to try to be as clear as possible about what the expectations were for this plan development. Number 12 is a new condition that resulted from the previous hearing, and that is that after the completion of the property owner's vehicle repair facility at 1402 South 1st Street, semi-trailers, shipping containers, or any other movable accessory storage structures are prohibited on the subject property. Number 13 was an existing condition from the last time about prohibiting the parking of the vehicles along South 41st Street. And then, as I mentioned, lot number 4 on the development plan must be paved with asphalt or concrete. At this point, I can answer any questions that the council might have on this case.
I have a question about the fence. It says an opaque fence, and it must be of wood or masonry construction.
Right. I think originally we had wood or masonry and a wood fence or a masonry wall, and there was some question as to which would it be, a wall or a fence, and we have put down fence since that's the most probably economically feasible for the property. I know that they have applied for a fence already along the south property line, which is in accordance with what we're recommending. And I believe the fence is not wood, but it's of another permitted material, I believe fiberglass, which is an allowed material as well. So I didn't specify wood, but just as long as it wasn't see-through.
How tall was the fence? Or is the fence going to be?
It's between 6 and 8 feet. I think it's 6, and that's in accordance with what we would be recommending anyway.
On your drawing, you have a truck parking area 70 feet south of Avenue M and 15 feet off of the, I guess, west side and 40 feet off the east side. If currently lots 1, 2, and 3, trucks can be allowed to park anywhere on that property if nothing was done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the red area is the only place they're going to be parking or staging trucks.
Correct.
All right. Will there be an entrance off of 41st Street? Now, there's currently a fence around 1, 2, 3. The fence from Lot 2 going north and going east, is that going to be removed?
That wasn't contemplated as part of this recommendation or drawing. We were mainly concerned with the screening of the surrounding residential properties. That the fence along that you described, Mr. Schneider, is at the applicant's option as to what becomes of it.
Is there an entrance off of 41st Street?
The way this is drawn right now, there is where you can sort of see the tire marks
right
on the
middle of Lot 2?
Yes, sir.
Then I also asked a question, like I asked the other time. I guess staff didn't feel it was necessary to ask for any greenery area or landscaping areas. We've done most PD.
We definitely have discussed it, and we came down on not requesting that due to the fact that the property owner could potentially withdraw the request, and then we would be left with nothing, and so we didn't want to lose the whole thing on account of that recommendation.
Okay.
I have another opaque fence question. Does the metal slabs through a chain link fence count as an opaque fence?
I would have to check on that in our base standards. You could, whether it does count or not as part of your authority, you could make that an allowable. These definitely semi-opaque, or semi-opaque, I guess would be the term. But that's definitely open for your consideration as well, to have that as a potential compromise between a wood fence and...
And quite honestly, I was thinking just the opposite, whether it really did or not, and I would, in my opinion, it does not, but I wanted to ask that question if that had been discussed. Thank you, Brian.
If it does, are you looking to suggest that we go with a wooden fence?
We go with a wooden fence.
As it is a planned development, I think we have that within our purview to make that part of your motion if you so desire.
Well, we'll ask Phil what their intents are.
Sure. Very good. Other comments or questions from staff?
I said most of the comments I've had about the piece of property is actually the entrance off of 41st Street, and if there was one, where it would be located. And second is the obstruction of sight coming out of the alley on the east side going north to Avenue M. As far as parking trucks in that little side parking lot, their trucks are parked now, and coming out of the alley looking back to the west, I guess it would be, or south, the vision is not too clear coming out on Avenue M. That's coming out right there on that alley. It don't show up on that screen right there. Yeah, currently there are trucks parked there, which with this PD, I've had a constituent concerned about that, because coming out of the alley, there's quite a few people that are parking the rear of their houses in that alley and coming up, but I don't know if you realize if it does pass with this PD, it allows the trucks to only be parked in the center of that parking lot, which would not obstruct the vision coming out of that alley. Which is, what you requested, I believe.
Other questions? Okay. Well, let's move on to the public hearing portion. Again, we were not posted for a public hearing, but because of the discussion last time and the interest on this item, it's in our best interest to bring this back for a public hearing, so I'll declare a public hearing open at this time. Anyone wishes to speak before the council on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments.
There you go, get them off the lid.
We'll let Ms. Taylor go first.
That'd be great.
All right. If she would like to.
I am Mabel Taylor. I live at Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor Jones and all council members. I am Mabel Taylor. I live at 1308 South 41st Street. I've been a resident there for over 38 years. And my concern is, I hope I understand this correctly, that lot 1307 is going to be fenced off on 41st Street side. They have, the driveway to 1307, the trucks have been going in to 1307, and then they turn and go past where the semi-trailer is parked and enter in to the other 3 lots that way. And I have a pickup truck that's parked on 41st Street, and some of those trucks are very large. They look like they're about 40 feet long. My worst fear, yesterday, that pickup got hit. Was not sideswiped, it was hit on the door, on the driver's door. The police, since I didn't see it happen, there's no witness, they couldn't do anything about it, but they did put the information in the computer. If that lot is not fenced off and those trucks are allowed to come in and out of 1307, then my pickup truck or any other vehicle parked on 41st Street is in jeopardy. And I hope that it's going to be in the final decision that there will be a fence there in socket. Children have been playing on that lot since school's out about 3 or 4 times. I counted one day as many as 8 from toddler up to teenager was over there playing, which is not a place for them to play. Fencing it off would stop that too. And that's about all I have to say.
Okay. Yeah,
I thank you.
Ms. Taylor, I think if you'll turn around and look at that map, and then Mr. Mabry, if you'll help illustrate where that fence will be relative to her comments.
Mrs. Taylor, this is at least what the recommendation is right now for to have a fenced area where you see the yellow lines here.
See 1308, that's me. That's where I live right there. And they've been coming out of that lot. And it takes a lot of room for a 40-foot truck to turn on a residential street. And so, anyway, I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Rowe?
Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir.
I want to say I appreciate all the work y'all do. And I know a lot of time it's really time consuming. But I had concerns about the parking, the trucks up at the front. And even the car parking right there at that corner is somewhat of a trouble because my wife drives one of those Prius. They're not very high off the ground. And even if a car is parked up there, it's hard to see up Avenue N. There's 6 foot from that fence out to that street, and it was only 3 foot from the side of the truck, and that'll be eliminated. So that's, if they're not parking there, that'll eliminate the problem that I was having. They're 10-foot tall trucks, you can't see over one. Even the trash trucks couldn't see coming up there. And Mr. Mabry was indicating that, if it was a problem, I'd like to go to the code people. And, I haven't had real good results out of trying to get code work done. I think that they send out letters. I hadn't been able to tell that they go beyond that. I don't know, y'all may know. If you forward that, I'll show you a picture that's beside this lot. That's it, both of those pictures. They hadn't been mowed this year. And I guess they've sent letters to them and nothing's happened about it. So, my going to the code people hadn't been very productive, and I just want to point that out too. If that was what my alternative was, if a truck was parked up there, to go call them. That last picture showed a trailer full of tires that's been there, I don't know how long, I don't know what he does with them, but they don't seem to go away. And you've more pointed out about the mosquitoes raising in the tires full of water. That's all I have to say, and I think this lady, I accidentally saw this on the TV on Channel 10 covering this, and I thought it wasn't going to work out to keep the traffic down, but I believe that if it goes up to that mark that it showed on the deal, that should keep the truck traffic out of here. And I'm in the neighborhood, and I have to live there, and I want to keep it as nice as I can, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Would you state your address, Mr. Rowe?
I live at 1402 South 39. I didn't get a mail out. Did you say there was 40 sent out?
It's 27.
There was the man across the alley in north one house. He said he got one, but I don't know where that broke off. And I didn't have a problem until the truck started parking there.
Yeah, it looks like you were just outside the 200-foot radius where they get picked up, so.
If I can have my hat, I will abscond. Thank you, Alan.
Good to see you, David. Tanya?
Mayor, council, staff, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Tanya McCasker-Reed. I reside at 1317 North 9th Street here in Temple. I'm representing the applicant tonight, and I feel like I just need to make a few clarifications, and I'll be brief. You guys have been beat up on this one long enough. The applicant is agreeing to most all of the items that we've discussed here today. There's a few things that are either not correct or misunderstood. We are agreeable to the location of the parking, a 70-foot offset, the dimensions of the shaded area that will be the parking area, agreeable to the fencing on the alley and the fencing on the south side, which separates Lot 4 from the residential screening fence. Marty, back to your question about the vinyl or the chain link fence. The fence has already been applied for. The application is issued. We've put everything on hold trying to get through this process. It will be a standard opaque fiberglass fence, 6 foot tall. It will not be chain link or fencing. Here's where we have a little bit of issue, and it's the screening fence along 41st Street. Obviously, this has to be an enclosed lot for the parking of the vehicles. We are not agreeable to screening that with a 6-foot chain link fence or giving up curb cuts, because everybody knows it's a huge development. Once you give up curb cuts, you never get them back. We are agreeable to fencing it and to not taking access in those locations, using the 41st Street access and the Avenue M access as shown on Lot 2 and Lot 1 off of Avenue M. Other than that, I think it's important to point out, and Brian, you said it in your presentation, I think it's important to point out that our intended use for this property is allowable today with a larger area to park in. So the applicant has done some give and take. I think that at this stage in the game, we feel strongly that we're willing to concede to all of the issues of the P, save and accept the screening along 41st Street. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
And we're saying, opposed to that screening, meaning from where the opaque fence stops at basically at Lot 2 and Lot 3 towards Avenue M, correct?
No, sir.
Or you're talking about putting a fence along 41st Street at all?
A fence, not a screening fence. Not your definition of an opaque screening fence and giving up the curb cuts. An enclosed fence that would continue, it would keep access, but not the screen
So
fence.
would you have a gate there? Would you just install a gate on
Don't need a
lot
gate
4,
there.
or you just put a fence across it?
Just fence it. Restrict access.
Why would an opaque fence versus a chain link fence give up the curb cuts?
It wouldn't necessarily. We don't want to give up the curb cuts.
I didn't
That
think we
was-
were asking for
I
that.
don't think we're asking to give it that, or even close the entrance, because that particular lot could be changed for its use.
That's correct. That's our holdup, Russell.
Yeah, so you don't change the curb cuts, you don't fill in the curb and go, the curb cuts stay, you still fence it across there, and in some given time down the road, if it gets changed, its use gets changed, and you apply for the use check, take down the fence, and away you go. But what's the difference between I don't think that whether chain link or wooden fence or fiberglass fence would take that away one way or the other.
Well, there is some difference in cost, but I will tell you
Okay.
that from the standpoint of the applicant, and my understanding as we were going through this process is that was the part of the agreement that we would have to give those curb cuts. So if all we're discussing is whether it's a wooden opaque fence or whether it's a chain link fence, I think that there might be some opportunity.
I think the objective is not to have access down.
Agreed.
Across from a residential lot. If you move it up to the middle of lot 2, it's obviously going to back up to what 20, I can't read that, whatever that is.
That's the desirable
Lot.
access anyway, correct?
That's the access and leaving on Avenue M.
The current,
all you're going to do is have to put a fence down the side and across right there. What he's running up down there, what you're going to do. Right now, what lot 3 is a chain link, but you're going to have to cut the same type fence there as down there across. But I think to get the technology on the all you're going to do is up there with the fireworks.
Right there.
People have access.
You got an exit right here, right?
All you need to do is
Without any money.
you're not going to give up, you're not going to do business. If you stay just like it is right now, you still got to use that right there where that mouth is. That's all you're going to have right now.
On the 1507, and
Yeah, right there.
I need to keep the idea up. Get through the gate.
You're not going to get more in.
Kellen,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I thought we had a position. Kellen, let me explain to you that if you pass on this agreement, you can't use that lot 4 as access, even if you pass on the PD, because it's not zoned appropriately. You understand that?
What he's saying, he wants to keep that lot 4 where you come in there, where you can.
I don't think that's an option.
Well, you guys want to
Sorry.
defer this another time and work that out and bring it back?
I didn't think that was the case.
Okay.
Anybody else here to speak?
Might we take a little brief recess? Well, or move to the next item, and we come back to this item, and maybe we can do that?
Yeah, it's just circle
Okay.
till the next time. Chain concept.
Yeah. This time, we'll just suspend the public hearing, and let them work that out, and we can come back to this item. Is that all right, Mr. Grant? All right, good. Item 8, and we'll come back to item 7 here shortly. Consider adopting a resolution authorizing a construction contract with Cheney Cox Construction of Temple for the construction of Fire Station Number 8 with Training Center, Emergency Operations Center, in the amount of $2,885,000. Ms. Matkey?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I am pleased to present to you tonight a recommendation to award the construction contract for Station 8. There we go. This all started back in May of 2008 when the citizens approved the GL bonds in the amount of $13,995,000. Included in that bond issue, it was designated $4,775,000 for Fire Station Number 8 with the Training Center and Emergency Operations Center. On March 5th, 2009, we proceeded with the project by engaging Architectural Edge to help us with the design of this facility. The facility design, as it turned out, Station 8, which is considered on the east end of the building, and I'll show you a map in a little bit, is 9,422 square feet. It will have 3 apparatus bays, and Station 8, which will house offices and housing for the Station 8 personnel. The west end of the facility will be the Training Center and EOC, which will be comprised of about 6,423 square feet. Several classrooms in that side of the facility, 3 offices, an EOC command center. There'll also be a lookout tower that will look out onto the drill field, future drill field, along with the airport. The whole facility will be have backup power with a diesel power generator. Looking at, this is an aerial looking down on the airport. You can see the little yellow spot. That's where we have designated the spot where Station 8 will go. It's approximately 2 acres is where it will be. Looking at the facility, this is a rendering from the front side, standing on State Highway 36 and looking onto the facility. The right side of the photo basically is the station part with the apparatus bay in the middle, and then the left side is the training center. On February 4th, 2010, this year, Council did authorize the use of a competitive sealed proposal process for the procurement of the construction contract. On April 4th, we advertised the RFP, and on May 11th, 2010, we received 13 proposals for this work. The proposals ranged in prices from $2,885,000 to a high of $3,768,000. Our budget for the project was $3.4 million. The evaluation criteria that was set forth for this RFP was weighted with the heaviest emphasis on proposed pricing, and then there was other qualification factors and other things that went into the evaluation. There was a 7-member staff committee formed to evaluate the proposals that were received. It's the committee's unanimous recommendation to award the contract to Cheney Cox Construction of Temple. Cheney Cox does have the lowest proposed cost. They have comparable experience in this area. Staff has had a good experience working with Cheney Cox and recently completed parks projects, and they propose an approximate 1-year construction period. Staff's recommendation is to award it to Cheney Cox at their base price of $2,885,000. That is a price per square foot of $182. Cheney Cox would like to break ground very quickly. If we get the construction contract executed in the next week, they'd like to break ground the week of June 28th with a certificate of occupancy probably around in July 16th of 2011. Just looking at historically what the price per square foot has come in on recently constructed projects, this just kind of lays out a history. In October 2009, we opened proposals for Central. That was a record price of $152 per square foot. I say record based on what prices had been prior to then. And then this comes in at $182 per square foot. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Charlie and Stephen Cox from Cheney Cox Construction are here, along with Randy Stumberg with Architectural Edge.
Thank you, Ms. Matkey. Council, any questions from Ms. Matkey? Comments from staff? Not, I'll entertain a motion on item 8.
Motion to approve item 8.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approval of the resolution authorizing the construction of Fire Station 8 for a price of $2,885,000. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen.
Abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna. Aye. Councilmember Schneider.
Abstain.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Item 9 is to consider adopting a resolution appointing members to the following city boards and commissions. Again, we have two individual appointments tonight for boards. Two members to the Temple Public Safety Advisory Board to fill unexpired terms through September 1st of 2010 and September 1st of 2011. And then also, we still have an opening on the Animal Services Advisory Board to fill an unexpired term through September 1st of 2012. And on the Animal Services Advisory Board, that particular position needs to be from an animal services organization. We're still in discussions with an individual on that particular board appointment, so I'd recommend that once again we table that particular one, but we certainly have applicants with interest to be appointed to the Temple Public Safety Advisory Board. Council, any ones in particular that you have to recommend? Otherwise, I'd recommend Pat Bell for appointment to this position that expires in 2011, and Margaret Goodwin for the appointment that expires September 1st of 2010.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second for appointment of Pat Bell to the 2011 position and Margaret Goodwin to the 2010 position. There's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna. Aye. Councilmember Schneider.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
And we'll see if
I think they have
individuals
had a moment of enlightenment, but
You need a formal table for 9B?
Sure, yeah, let's do that, sure.
Motion to table item 9B.
Second. Motion is second to table the appointment for the Animal Services Advisory Board, item 9B. There's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna. Aye. Councilmember Schneider.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. And we'll see if we're ready to go back to item 7.
Pizza ready?
Can you put that picture back up, please, ma'am?
So we're back to item 7 in the public hearing on the...
Okay, I think we might have consensus if the council is agreeable. I want the map up though, please. Okay, the applicant's issues are legitimate. I mean, we're all trying to work together, and Jonathan and staff has been super about trying to have a happy ending here, but his comments were, if I give up that 70 feet on Avenue M, I'm giving up 70 feet of parking space that I have today, and I'm picking up about 25 on the backside. Legitimate comment if you're the property owner. We explained to him that Lot 4 is not the best place to access, and we are all in agreement of that. Staff, design team, we're in agreement. There's a third gate, however, that splits the parking lot, Lot 3 and Lot 4. It's a small gate now. The conversation we were having in the hallway was, if there was a second gate at that intersection of Lot 3 and 4 going towards Avenue M, so he can have an in and an out, then he's agreeable to screening fencing Lot 4 and putting the gate on Lot 3, the current commercial lot.
You're talking about going to 41st, not Avenue M.
Going towards Avenue M on Lot 3, Russell.
So that one coming off of 41st Street would be for entrance to the property primarily?
There's a gate right here.
Okay.
There's also a gate right here.
Well, that one's just open. There's no gate there.
You're right. Agreeable to screening all the way along, making this gate slightly larger so he can maneuver in and out between lots 2 and 3.
So the gate there in the middle of Lot 2 just goes away?
No, it stays. Russell, he's got to get an in and an out to move those trucks around. Otherwise, he's doing...
What about off of Avenue M? Isn't there a gate going straight up off of Avenue M? And that's where all your turning space is going to be anyway. You got 70 feet up there.
Well...
So there's no gate on Avenue M?
There is a gate on Avenue M.
I know, so one's in and one's out, so you got two ins and one out.
The discussion is Avenue N is not the optimum road to turn in off of because of traffic, speed, visibility, etc.
Right. So if you turn in between in the middle of Lot 2, you still have a 41st Street entrance and an Avenue M exit.
You know, in my mediation skills, that's the best I can bring to you.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you.
So he wants two gates on, one between Lot 3 and 4, and one in the middle of Lot 2.
There's no gate right there, screening all of Lot 4.
Yeah, but he wants a gate right there between Lot 3 and 4, or at the beginning of Lot 4, going up the hill to 3.
Correct.
And he wants a gate right there in the middle of Lot 2, and keep the gate in Avenue M.
Is he going to fence non-opaque all the way up?
Yes,
So
sir.
that there would be a gate at that one place where the tire tracks are in Lot 2?
He will just continue the existing fence that's there with the gate, but he will opaque the fence at Lot 4. Yes, sir.
I mean, and concerns I've had from the constituents that would not work for constituents that has had concerns about that. I'm a little bit disappointed in the landscaping, no requirements there, but I could have probably, looked over that, but
I could tell you that we could have discussions about landscaping. That's not the story we're going to die on. It's literally access.
yeah. I was just disappointed that we didn't require any, because we've always had required some. I didn't know if there was discussion before we require landscaping, I'm out of here or whatever, but that just disappointed me.
All the trucks are rental trucks, we're not talking about any
Yes, sir, I think
trailers at all.
That's correct. As the condition of the First Street development, all of the containers, all of the storage, all of the non-trucks have to be removed from that site. We've already agreed to that in writing in terms of the other site. I think it's also important to understand that there is no new structure, there is no new business. This is, a parking lot for all practical purposes. All the transactions will be handled at the other office and parked. If that helps clarification.
So this is, but then he's saying he's moving his tire operation here, or just tire
No, sir.
storage here?
Just budget trucks are parking in these lots. That's it. There's currently tires stored on the lot that have to be removed as a condition of the First Street. That there will be no more tires, no more containers, no more storage units.
So this is just excess truck storage?
Yes, sir.
And he's still going to do all his rentals and everything off of First Street?
Yes, sir.
So that's the business office, will
That is
still all be in
correct.
First Street?
That is correct.
Okay.
And he's willing to pave all of Lot 4.
Yes, sir.
And can we go back to the opening on between 3 and 4
Yes.
that we were talking about? Are they, so are you saying it's just, they're just going in at that location, or will they be going both in and out?
We didn't have that conversation. The intent is to have an in and out. If that was something that we needed to stipulate, we probably could stipulate an exit only.
Well, my only concern with that is Ms. Taylor's comment earlier about pulling out. I would be worried about the potential of residential traffic coming through. And so if it were in, something tells me that might just be a little safer than it going both ways. It'd be less likely for somebody to pull out from behind the fence and pull out.
Okay.
Well,
I can release that.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one,
That's
Danny.
just-
And we are talking about parking on public right-of-way. Let's be clear on where we're talking about parking.
if you're going to allow the gate there, starting it between 4 and 3 and going north,
Yes.
I don't know that you'd want that be a opaque fence on Lot 4 because of the visibility back coming out or coming in. I think that's what Danny's saying. You would leave that as a chain link fence if you wanted the driveway to be there. Otherwise, it poses more danger coming out.
Except it is, 6 foot and you're in a rental truck that's a little higher off the ground than
Sure.
a pedestrian vehicle or,
Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
So we're going opaque all the way to lot 2 and 3, but it's got an opening in there. So no, we're going to back that chain link fence up to just lot 4.
The chain link fence is going to meet the opaque fence at the intersection of lots 3 and 4.
Okay.
Other questions? Thank you, Mr. McCaskill.
I think the owner has made all kinds of concessions here to try to be a good neighbor, and to me, it looks like that has worked out.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Oh, we have the public hearing open. Yes, ma'am, of course, you bet.
If they put the entrance between lot 4 and 3, and they got trucks parked here, how are they gonna move those trucks in and out?
Well, obviously,
Trucks are gonna be in that red area?
correct.
3, is that
Correct.
right?
That's correct, ma'am.
And the gate we're talking about is right up here. So if you got trucks parked there, how are they gonna go in and out?
Well, they have to be maneuvering the trucks, in and out of the lot. They just have an access point there, so that if there weren't trucks there and they needed to pull trucks in, they could do that.
It still has
So-
the same problem because 1306 is a residence. What if they have vehicles parked in front of 1306? We're going to have the same problem I had. I can't point a finger at anybody, they didn't do the calling card. But somebody hit that pickup. And it wasn't a side swipe hit. It was like this. So it seemed logical that it came out of that driveway. So if there's any family or visitors or whatever with 1308 or 1306 or even 1310, well, I don't think it hurt 1310. But if you have a gate there for them coming in and out, it's going to have that problem because 41st Street is just a residential street. It's not a wide street.
Right.
And
Right now,
I've tried to visualize how long some of these trucks are. They are big trucks, and even the big trucks, and then they have a trailer behind them. So you've got a pretty lengthy.
yeah, they won't have those tractor-trailer trucks
No, I'm
anymore.
talking about their flatbed trailers, and then they have there's a covered trailer, for moving. And then there's for a vehicle type trailer, and you put another trailer on behind them long trucks, you got a long vehicle. Anyway, that's just,
Well, they can do that now.
yeah, right.
That's one of the issues, is right now they could, without any changes at all, they could.
But when they've been coming out that driveway on lot 4, they really have to watch it, turning on kind of a pickup sitting there. It makes it difficult for them, and anyway.
And if we approve this, and the way they propose, and with the stipulations that are in there won't be any access from lot 4 at all. Lot 4 will be totally fenced with no gates, no access in or out of there, with the exception of from inside the lot itself. So the access we're talking about that say they need on Lot 3 and Lot 2, they actually have that already, and they don't need the approval to continue to use that way.
What about that other gate that's up there? There's two gates on 41st Street.
Correct.
There's a gate at, I call it 1305, right there in the corner.
Right.
And then there's another one up closer to Avenue M. And then they have the Avenue M gate.
Correct.
So they actually have three gates to that property. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Are they still deciding?
No, ma'am, they made the presentation, so now it's our turn. As soon as we get done hearing from all of you.
I'll stay and listen then.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, if there's no one else wishing to speak, I will declare this public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure on the approval of the ordinance authorizing zoning change for commercial district as discussed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion.
Probably need a clarification on the motion because the ordinance that's in your package had the fence all the way up to Lot 2, and I'm not sure that's your intention, but...
Okay. I think
it's not unclear to me what the motion is.
What is your motion?
I'm sorry.
I thought we'd come to, what they came to an agreement on is what I want to approve. So the fence doesn't go all the way
So
across.
it's the opaque fence on basically Lot 1307 up to ending at 1305, where the non-opaque fence will then take over, allowing access onto 41st Street from Lot 3 and Lot 2, as well as on Avenue M.
Right.
So all other stipulations as presented would be as presented.
Right.
Correct?
That's my motion.
Okay. We have that motion. Okay? Yeah, second. All right. And a second. Any further discussion? Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Dunn?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
No.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've worked through all the items. That concludes this meeting, and we are adjourned. Thank you for your participation.